Firefly, where we read, create, and you shine when you share your creations with us. I'm Keisha, and today we are reading another story about 10 little monsters. Do you all remember the story when they went to New York? Well, guess where they're going today? California. We're going to follow these 10 little monsters on their journey and learn some fun facts about California. Let's get started. 10 Little Monsters Visit California. Written and illustrated by Just Smart Smiley. Look at him zooming off in his little car. He's on his way to California. 10 little monsters cannot wait to visit the sunny Golden State. That's what California is called, the Golden State. All right, 10 little monsters head to the coast. It's California they love the most. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got all 10 of our little monsters. 10 little monsters are happy to reach the sand at the shore of Huntington Beach. One little monster finds a sandcastle bear and claims it for monsters everywhere. Oh, look at that guy. For monsters everywhere. Huntington Beach boasts 10 miles of golden sand and some of the best surfing in the world. Most of the sandcastles are monster-free, but caution is still warranted. Wow, what do you think these people feel about all these monsters swimming in the beach? I think he's going to stay there. Let's see. Yep. 9 little monsters at the San Diego Zoo wave to the tigers and a kangaroo. First opening in 1916, the San Diego Zoo is home to over 3,500 animals, many of which are rare or endangered. Monsters are only allowed to visit. And one little monster is swept away. Go on without me. I'm here to stay. He's like, oh, I think I found my home. I'm going to stay right here with these other animals. 8 little monsters trek through the night. Yosemite's great in the dark and the light. Ooh, Yosemite National Park is roughly the same size as the state of Rhode Island. That's a whole nother state. Night hikes are a popular pastime, but bring plenty of flashlights for the monsters in your party. Better yet, don't bring the monsters at all. Well, they're doing a nice little night hike through Yosemite. The sun rises warm and more hikes begin, but one little monster settles right in. Aw, does she like it there at Yosemite? How many are going to be left now? That's right. 7 little monsters slow to trot. Death Valley is just a little too hot. Oh, they're moving slow now. With a record temperature of 136 degrees, Death Valley is considered one of the world's hottest places. Ice cream is advised, but you better eat it fast or bring a soup spoon because it's going to melt. The monsters retreat toward cooler fun. They're like, okay, it's too hot here. We got to go somewhere cooler. But one monster stays to soak up the sun. He's like, I love it. I love the cactus and all the scorpions and creatures. I'm just going to stay here. So 6 little monsters visit the bay, where Alcatraz Island invites them to stay. The prison's exciting, but they leave without crime. Though one little monster wants a little more time. He's staying in the prison? Okay. Alcatraz Island kept some of the country's most notorious criminals. It's fascinating to visit, but we recommend finding other hotel accommodations. Yeah, I don't think you want to stay there, little buddy. But he did, because there's only 5 little monsters looking all around. The redwood forest from sky to the ground. They've lost a dear friend, but it's time to move on. He'll be so sad once he sees that we're gone. Where's his little friend? Look, he climbed way up in the tree, on top of one of those redwood trees that are the tallest in the world. They're stunning to look at, but you should rethink those treehouse plans. Probably a little too high in the sky. Oh, man, there they are. They're leaving the redwood forest. And where are they entering now? 4 little monsters want to play with the sea creatures living at Monterey Bay. Oh, look at all those sea creatures. The monsters are looking in, and, well, one little monster, he decides to go for a dip, then a dive, and a splash, and a flop, and a flip. The Monterey Bay Aquarium has millions of gallons of water, but if you want to swim, you'll have to share it with 35,000 other animals. Wow, that is a lot of animals that live in Monterey Bay. He looks like he's having a great time there. I don't think he's leaving anytime soon. So 3 little monsters start singing a song. The Golden Gate Bridge is so long. The traffic is also exciting, one states, and that little monster accelerates. But where is he going? Over 2 billion cars have crossed the bridge since its opening in 1937. Only monsters find sitting in traffic exciting. Yeah, sitting in traffic is not exciting. But driving, accelerating like this little guy, that's fun. 2 little monsters feeling alive shop along Rodeo Drive. Ooh, shopping is so fun. So many actors, so much to see. Let's make a movie starring you and me, the director says. Okay. Rodeo Drive is lined with luxurious shops and restaurants. You might see a celebrity doing their shopping, but you probably won't see a monster. This one's staying to make a movie. So how many little monsters are going to be left? 1 little monster continues to roam and finds that Lake Tahoe is better than home. Lake Tahoe is 1,645 feet deep, making it the 2nd deepest lake in the United States. Don't try to cross it alone unless you can swim a dozen miles or are really, really tall. Wow, so a dozen miles wide, 1,600 feet deep. That is a super big lake with the water and mountains and sun in the west. It's California these monsters love best. Wow, did all 10 of them find a home, a new place to stay in California? Sounds like they're doing more than visiting. I think they might stay for a while. And that's the end, friends. I learned so much about California from this story. There are so many different types of places to visit there, from the oceans and the beaches to the forests with those redwood trees. But you know what really inspired me for our project? It was the desert page with all of those little prickly cactuses. So today we are going to make a California cactus. Are you ready? Let's create. For this project, you will need some green paper, some white paper to sketch out your patterns, a pencil, some scissors, some glue, of course, to glue the whole thing together, markers, some yarn, if you have it, or some colored string, something to make flowers with, could be paper too, and then you'll need something to put your cactus in. Maybe you have an actual flower pot you can use. I've got a toilet paper roll, maybe a cup, something you can make a little pot out of, and then something to stuff it with. I've got this paper here. Maybe you've got some rocks or some tissue paper, or maybe some actual dirt, but something that you can put into your little flower pot. You can press pause now if you want to go grab your supplies. All right, I am set up and I am so excited to start making my California cacti. Do you all remember the inspiration for this project? Let's look at the page. So this is the page where our little monsters, there's 7 of them now, are going through Death Valley. And do you see all the prickly cacti there? And look at this page where they're all sticking up. We can see all the different sizes and shapes of them. And of course, this little monster who decides to stay and soak up the sun. Well, I love cacti and I love succulents. I have a few I want to show you of my own. Look at this little guy. And I just love how all the little kind of star-shaped prickles, these don't hurt so much, I can touch them. They're all around this little guy. And then I have another one. And this cacti is prickly. Can you all see the spikes sticking up there? These are a little bit prickly, but I think he has such great personality. Look how cute he is. So I'm gonna leave these here to inspire us while we work on our cacti. We're making ours out of paper. So I've got my paper, and the first thing that you want to do is come up with a design or a pattern for your cacti. So what shape is it going to be? We're going to start with just a simple oval circle shape, maybe with some spikes sticking out of it. And so to make your pattern, just take a piece of, plain white paper and fold it in half so that you can just draw half of it. And this will help us to create a pattern that's symmetrical. Have you all done this before, like with a heart, where you draw half of the heart and then cut it out? So I'm making this one it's going to be one of those puffy, full cacti. And so I'm just going to cut on the fold. I'm going to cut on the fold of that line and cut out half of my circle. So then I can open it up and I've got, look at that, I've got a nice poof for my pattern for my cactus. So for this one, I'm going to use my dark green paper and I need 4 of these. So you could trace them 4 times and cut them out, or if you're strong enough, you could fold your paper and cut out all 4 of them at the same time. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold this paper into 4ths and then trace my pattern on 1 time. And then I will cut it out. Now it works nice for this shape because it's simple, but you'll see in the next one that we do that you may not be able to cut out all 4 of them at the same time if it's a slightly different shape or if it has arms or something like that. But for this first one, that's just the circle, I think cutting out all of them at the same time works wonderfully. Okay. So look, this is magic, right? I folded my paper over into 4ths. Look how many circles I'm gonna have. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got all 4 of them. And let's add some kind of spikes to them. So you could use a black Sharpie. I have a green one. Let's see if the green will show up. Does that show up? Yeah, I think it gives a nice kind of a texture for the cactus. All right, so I'm just adding some spikes to it. And you could use a pencil to do this, or you could use a pen, a Sharpie, whatever you've got to add some texture to your cactus. Okay, does that look cactusy? I think so. Now when we fold them, we're gonna keep our lines on the inside. So fold each of your circles in half. Like that. And I'm gonna fold this one too. And this one. Nice. And this one. Now before I glue these 4 together, I want to add some spikes. So what we're going to do is we're going to be gluing them together like that, so so that they all go together and make it look like, you see that? Make it look like a round cactus. But before I do that, I want to add some little spikes to it. So I've got some lighter green paper here, and I'm just going to create some triangles, some little triangle pieces. I'm going to start by cutting a strip like that, and then I can just angle my scissors. So I'm cutting this way and this way. See how that makes little triangles? And then you can angle your scissors back and forth like that until you've got some nice spikes. And we want to glue these to the edges before we glue all of them together. All right, you think that's enough? I'm gonna do a few more just in case. Okay, so now I've got some tacky glue here. And tacky glue, you just need a little bit. So I'm gonna put a little glue on the edge of one of my circles, just a little bit like that. All right, and then I'll stick on some spikes. And when I place the spikes, I want them to stick outside of my circle a little bit. So do you see how they're sticking outside of the circle? So when I put them together, I'll have a spike sticking out. So I'm just gonna lay my spikes around the edge like that. This is gonna make it look very cactusy and pretty cute too. All right. Okay, so now I've got spikes on that side, and I'm gonna go ahead and glue this down to one of my other sides. So sandwich the spikes between, boop, just like that. Okay, you see, now I've got spikes on one of my cacti. Now let's add spikes to this one too. And I might have to cut a few more spikes, I think. Okay, it's looking good. It's looking very prickly. I don't know if I want to touch this one. It might prick me. Okay, take a look, guys. Our cactus is coming together with its spikes. All right, let's check out our cactus, see how he's coming together. Do you see now how it has 4 sides? Oops, I lost one of my spikes. Come out, little guy. All right, so you can just push it together with your hand, and now you've got a nice little round cactus that's very spiky. All right, so you've got to figure out, what are you going to set him in? Is he going to be in some sort of pot so that he looks kind of realistic? Do we want to put a flower on this one? Maybe we do. I've got some red yarn here, and I think we could make sort of some kind of flower that sits on top of him. I'm just going to kind of twist some around my finger. See if we can make something that looks like a flower for the top of our cactus. You think that would work? Yeah, I think I've seen ones that look exactly like that. And if you want to cut some of the loops so it'll stick up more, you could do that too. Then I'll just pile up a little bit of my tacky glue and stick it on top. So we have a little flower. I'll trim some of these guys down. All right, might have to hold it for a second so it'll stay. Okay. All right, now you've got to decide, what kind of pot do you want him to have? And this guy is kind of wide, so I feel like I might have to make something for him to sit in with just a strip of paper. How could we do that? All right, well, I got some white paper here. Well, let's see, if I curve it around like that, do you think that could be big enough for him to sit inside of? I think that could work. And you all can make something out of paper. You could use a toilet paper roll. I have a cup and a toilet paper roll and this lid that I found in the recycle bin, but I feel like they're all too small for this guy. So I'm gonna make him his own pot just out of some paper. And let's add some designs to it first, shall we? Let's see, maybe just some stripes. I'm just gonna add some stripes to my paper. And that way, when I put it together, it won't just be a plain paper, but it'll have some stripes to it. Let's give it a bottom. And so we've just made a flower pot out of paper. You know, you could use an actual flower pot too if you had a little pot that you weren't using for anything. So let's set this one to the side. This is our other flower pot, and let him dry. And we'll make a totally different shaped one. I really like the one that has, you know, the loops that go up like that. So let's make a pattern for that. It's gonna be the one that's more like that. That's your typical traditional cactus shape, right? This one is a little bit different because it's got the arms that stick out. So we'll make one pattern for the middle, and then we'll make a separate one for the arms that stick out. Again, I'm gonna fold it in half to create the pattern so I can just draw half of my shape, and then when I cut it, it'll be perfectly symmetrical. Let's do the side arm, you know, the arm that's just gonna stick out like that and give us our cactus shape. There we go. Does that look like a cactus arm? Okay, so I'm gonna do 4 of these, of the long one, and then 2 of these for the arms that are going to stick out. And since I'm doing 4, I think for this I can fold my paper and cut 4 of them at the same time. Let's add some spikes. Let's add some spikes to them. And for this one, the spikes I'm just gonna add on the actual cactus itself. I'm not gonna do the triangle ones like I did for the other one. These are just gonna be drawn spikes. Here's our arm paper. And I think we just need 2 of these because there's gonna be one on one side and then one on the other. Add some spikes to this, and then we'll be ready to put them together. Fold them all in half. Let's put them together. Let's glue them together. And I'm gonna stick one of my arms in. Okay, so the arm gets sandwiched between 2 of those. And then we'll put on our last side. Isn't this so easy and fun? And you get to make these 3D kind of sculptures. They're paper sculptures. 3D cactus sculptures. Check it out, you guys. Look at that. All right, this one definitely needs a flower on top. And I think I'll do white. So I'm gonna open that up a little bit where the top of my cactus is. Stick some glue in. All right. And then I can stick my yarn right in the top. All right, and give it a little hold so the glue can dry and hold your little flower in. Doesn't that look great? Maybe it's a little long. Here we go. I feel like this little one, even though it's tiny, could really work for it. Look at that. It fit right in there. Okay, I like that. So I'm gonna take some of my tacky glue and put it down in the bottom of my container. And then maybe I'll put a little extra here too, just to make sure it's gonna stick. Then I'll stick it in to my container. I'm just gonna use this filler to fill in the gaps around it so you can't see where my cactus is coming from. And let's go back and check on the other flower pot we made, which has dried up some now. And I can stick some of my filler paper in here. Now you could use just balled up paper or tissue to do this. You could use actual rocks or beads or whatever you have just to fill in the gaps around your cactus. I'll show you this other one that I made that's kind of the different shape. And for the flower pot of this one, I just colored it in with Sharpie, and it was just a little plastic cup that I had. So there's all sorts of ways that you can do this, and I just can't wait to see how cute your California cacti are going to be. These little California cacti are so cute, and I can't wait to see yours. I hope you'll share them with me on our Facebook page at Club Firefly Kids, and remember to join the club by liking and subscribing to this channel. Until next time, keep reading, keep creating, and keep on shining.
Spread your wings, shine your light, Club Firefly. Spread your wings.